Real quickly before we begin, I want to thank this video's sponsor, CarMarshal.com. CarMarshal.com can save you lots of money on buying used or new vehicles, cars, trucks, school buses. If you want to save money, I'll have a link in the description down below. I know I'm going to...
Lackawanna County today to say his office is not done looking into the alleged sexual abuse at the county prison.
It comes after 7 current and former corrections officers were arrested yesterday. Newswatch 16 Stacey Lang live at the prison in Scranton tonight. Stacey?
Yeah, good evening, John and Julie. Those 7 corrections officers were charged yesterday with different types of sex crimes, all relating to the alleged sexual abuse of female inmates here at the Lackawanna. And he says that their investigation is not done. Former Lackawanna County Corrections officers does not signify the end of the Attorney General's year-long investigation.
Whenever you see this kind of scope, whenever you see this kind of pervasive culture that was allowed to exist, you have to wonder how far up the chain this goes.
Attorney General Josh Shapiro says the charges filed Wednesday were recommended by a grand jury that met for about a year. He explained that the state took over the case in 2016. In September of last year, almost 100 agents took files from the prison and county offices.
This was not one rogue prison guard. This was a pervasive culture of sexual assault of inmates by guards who were well known within that jail.
When video of the arrests aired on Newswatch 16, we heard from a woman who claims abuse by one of the 7 men, George McHale. She says McHale threatened her during one of her first nights behind bars in the fall of 2016.
He came back later that night when everyone else was in bed. This is what you call him, called me out and told me to come to the bathroom. He made me do oral sex and he raped me repeatedly.
She says she had a feeling she wasn't alone after she went to other prison employees to report the abuse.
I reported it to the medical staff and they told me, "Welcome to jail. You're gonna enjoy this."
His office has set up a local hotline so that people who may have information about abuse here at the Lackawanna County Prison can report it. You can find information about that hotline on our website, WNEP.com. Stacey Lang, Newswatch 16, reporting live in Scranton.
All right, Stacey, thank you.
2 cars, both had the...
Lawsuit claims Pennsylvania wardens let guards rape women in cells for years. A former inmate has filed suit against Pennsylvania's Lackawanna County over its prison facilities' unending sexual harassment and sexual assault of female inmates, claiming the highest-ranking officials were aware of the scope of the abuse. This is the 3rd federal lawsuit and the 4th plaintiff in the county's prison sexual assault scandal, which has involved more than 16 victims and at least 10 alleged perpetrators who worked as corrections officers and prison employees. 7 current and former guards were charged February 14 following a grand jury investigation into reports of sexual assaults at the prison. The indictment claimed the culture of fear and abuse of power for the guards' sexual gratification was going on for more than a decade. Administrators, corrections staff, and the prison board utterly ignored their responsibility to prevent the systematic assaults by engaging in a culture of silence, cover-up, and retaliation, according to the new complaint, filed in U.S. District Court in the Middle District of Pennsylvania. Josh Shapiro, the state's attorney general, said in February that the guards forced inmates into sexual acts in cells and utility closets, the New York Times reported. Shapiro's office had been conducting an investigation into the abuse for the better part of a year, which culminated in the statewide grand jury. This was not one rogue prison guard, Shapiro said at a news conference earlier this year. They took advantage of them for their own sick gratification. Then they threatened to make these inmates' lives worse if they told anyone about the abuse. The county paid out $750,000 in April 2016 to settle the first lawsuit. The second one, filed in July 2016, remains pending for 2 more women plaintiffs, the Citizen's Voice reports. The woman who filed this latest suit claims she was abused in 2011, 2012, 2013, 2014, and 2015. She is demanding compensatory and punitive damages and has requested a jury trial. The lawsuit names 16 victims and 9 defendants, some of whom are not themselves accused of sexual assault, including Warden Vincent Mooney, Warden Robert McMillan, Prison Administrator Thomas Staff, Sergeant Kate Fanning, Sergeant Isaac Hebron, Correctional Officer Joseph Black, Correctional Officer John Chnappies, and Correctional Officer Jeffrey Staff. Just last week, a judge determined that Jeffrey Staff, 42, would go to trial on 1 count of institutional sexual assault. He denies the allegations, and his lawyer questioned his accuser's credibility at a preliminary hearing, the Citizen's Voice reported. The suit alleges Staff engaged in sex acts with the former inmate 3 times while she was on work release or under court supervision. At least 2 other employees, Hebron and Fanning, allegedly knew about the incidents and threatened to retaliate against her if she told anyone about it. They reprimanded her, treating this victim as a perpetrator and stating that she was going to ruin defendant Staff's career as a correctional officer, according to the court documents. They threatened retaliation in the form of incarceration and segregation from the general population. At all relevant times, she felt compelled to engage in flirtation and sexual activity because she feared retaliation, the complaint states. The woman claims she was also sexually assaulted by former guards Chnappies and Black, neither of whom have been criminally charged in her case. Both men, however, have been charged in other sexual assaults, the Citizen's Voice reported. In February, Chnappies was charged with abusing 4 other inmates. Black pleaded guilty in 2015 to assaulting 5 inmates. He was sentenced to a maximum of 8 years in state prison. The plaintiff alleges she had seen Black engage in sexual relations with her roommate enough times that she was once forced to manually stimulate him, after which she was promised cigarettes, coffee, and candy for keeping quiet, according to the lawsuit. Whenever you see this kind of scope, whenever you see this kind of pervasive culture that was allowed to exist, you have to wonder how far up the chain this goes, Shapiro said in February. I want this community to know we are continuing to work to answer that question. A Lackawanna County spokesperson said most of the allegations occurred many years ago, claiming that the prison is now safe for its female inmates, the Associated Press reported in February.
Hey Charlotte County, this is Charlotte County COPWATCH, and I just wanted you to know that I am using this stuff under fair use. And also remember to like and subscribe this channel. Also too, keep in mind I do not make any money on YouTube. This is 5 hours work a day, you know, fighting for freedom. And you can donate with PayPal and Patreon. I just want you to think about this. If everybody gives to PayPal and Patreon, Patreon is every month. Actually, PayPal you can do every month. I have 12,000 subscribers. If everybody gives, I can quit my regular job and go full-time investigations on Charlotte County and possibly even more and beyond. So just keep that in mind. If everybody helps out, I can go full-time doing this. Thanks.